to, for sure. If you don't say we have several more stories.
The legislature was carefully crafted to
22.2% inflation rates as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
Before you call the police station, before they even leave, they take permission from
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
the struggle, the ASU strike.
Minister of Education volunteered and said, give me 2 weeks.
It was alive. The president never gave me any deadline.
Hello and thank you for joining us here on Global Morning. This is a great Tuesday, no doubt about that. Yeah, it's moving again, 14th day of January in the new year, and it's exactly 2 weeks wrapping up today into January. Hold on a second, for all of you who told us that January is the longest month of the year. And look, January is very tough in the words of one of my colleagues. It's going to be tough. All right, but then here we are right in the middle of it, and we are still keeping on, no matter how challenging it has been. So it just goes to show that nothing stays the same way forever. The other day, we're all saying Happy New Year, welcome to 2025. Now we're 14 days into the new year. Is this still a new year? Well, we'll talk about that in a bit. As always, we are pleased to know that you're joining us on Global Morning. And my colleague, one who took a break, I dare to say a long break. Yeah, for somebody you get to see every day at work and then you don't see them for 3 weeks. I mean, the office is a long break. Here's now saying the magnificent presence of the delectable Queen Agaba.
Yay! Happy New Year.
So let's talk about all of the enjoyments that you had between, as the year was winding down in 2024 into the new year.
Yeah, I wish that, okay, I wouldn't want to say that my break didn't finish, because I absolutely enjoyed being here on Global Morning. But I had a beautiful time. I had time to rest, see family, unwind. I mean, it feels good waking up and doing nothing, just eating, sleeping, seeing a movie, just relaxing. There's no pressure of, oh, what's the topic for tomorrow? Oh, I need to get into this, I need to find out. So it's just an awesome feeling.
Right.
I almost didn't want to come back, but of course I have to be here because of you.
Well, I think that's a great thing to say. Well, it's good to have you back, not just at work, but on the program as well. I mean, nothing feels better than having two persons on the show like this, instead of having one gentleman just fly solo the entire time. So, it's Tuesday, we're putting all of this on the road for you already. A lot to talk about regarding politics across board. The PDP has had its own basketball moments, to call it, especially when you're looking at the leading opposition party from the River State standpoint of politics and politicking within the party. But the APC too is not free of all of these conflicts that just sort of troubles political parties internally. Lagos State is where our attention turns this morning in the course of the program. But there are a few other human angle stories that we find very disturbing. For example, there's this story that's making it around, it's even trending, about a young man who is said to have killed his girlfriend somewhere in the Karu area of Abuja and got her decapitated for what some people have now called money ritual. To think that this person is referred to as a gospel artist, that is well known around the area at least as a gospel artist. So I'm wondering, first, what thoughts are running in the heads of those who knew him? Because I never heard about him until yesterday. I'm not sure I even know what he looks like. But what exactly are his parents thinking? Because I hear they live in that area too. He has siblings and all of that. Then more importantly, the family of this lady whose life has been snuffed out by this person allegedly on the path of perpetrating money ritual, I should say. But this is one money ritual story too many, isn't it?
Too many. This morning I was having a conversation with somebody who actually knows this person. Not in person, but has a friend that lives close to this person. And they were saying that this is just one of the instances that people don't know of.
Right.
Because according to him, this particular guy leaves his house with a guitar, and a sack all the time, and he always has ladies come in, and they never see those ladies come again. You know how your neighbor brings in somebody and maybe you see that person frequently come in and go as a friend. But once people come like that, they don't come again. You don't see them a second time.
Instead, you see a different face.
And he's always living with a guitar and then a sack bag. And so people will perceive that, okay, he's either going for music concerts, music
rehearsal,
and all of
studio
that.
session.
Just one of the other cases, because a lot of things, a lot of evil is being perpetrated in this time and age, particularly, I don't want to say the economy, but I don't know, the wickedness in the hearts of people is another level, next level. People are killing their girlfriends. Now people are saying that, oh, this girl is not even a Ron's girl. She probably must have felt safe in the hands of this guy who is using gospel music as a cover.
Right.
You know, to perpetrate
And being her boyfriend.
and her boyfriend. Because I look at the picture of this girl, she doesn't look like anybody that is out in the streets just to while away time or just do anything she likes. This is somebody that must have felt safe that, okay, this guy is my boyfriend, you know, and
My family even knows
my family
him.
knows him. That's the sad thing. My family knows him, and to think that, you know, this guy lives amongst humans. People, of course, that's how it is.
Right.
These people live amongst them. They are your neighbors and all of that. And how observant can one be? You know, how careful can one be, rather? How careful? This girl felt safe, and, you know, these things happen. And I was looking at the comment section yesterday where somebody said, this is another case where you say, oh, don't you tell ladies, don't go outside of your city to go and see who you don't know. And then how careful can you be? This person lives in the same city with me. He's my boyfriend. You know, I've been frequenting this place, and now it's my turn.
It's quite a sad story. Okay, first of all, I'm not so sure what has happened to him beyond the video that has made the rounds now, mob and all of that. Yesterday, we heard some unverified story that he had been burnt. We don't know how true that is, but our wish is that the police find him, or he finds the police. At least that's the way. Yeah, I mean, growing up, I'd seen a situation where someone was pretending to be a deaf mute, like deaf and dumb, came into a compound to rob, and then the landlord's wife got to realize that this guy can't be deaf and dumb, and then somehow they found out that he was actually sneaking into the compound to rob. And then the woman raises alarm and everybody's alert, and then they come and get him. So the beating becomes too much that he runs into the police station by himself. So the entire time the entire time he was running, people had thought he was actually running away as we know it, but not knowing that he was running to look for the nearest police station. He finds one and he runs right into it. So
I think this case, he has to find
he has to, otherwise,
mob action.
Yes, mob action, jungle justice, as we call it, and we know how these things play, right? So we hope that happens, because the law enforcement guys will have to do their beats and things like that. Also find out, like Queen was trying to talk to us about a while ago, have there been incidences like this before today? For somebody who has neighbors and people have been observing, you know, it's when something like this happens, some of the things you have seen start to resonate.
Yeah,
Start to try to, yes, okay, hold on a second. So every other time I saw him with a bag, at least once a week, what was he up to really? Because it was a bag they saw him with this time as well. And then they ultimately found out that he had a human head,
people are digging into,
and the trunk was in his house.
You know, stories of young girls that have come around that place. People are now connecting, those that have died. You know, families are now remembering. You know,
Saying, well, this is the lead we've been looking for the whole time. So you'll be shocked what more revelations will come up along this line. But in the final analysis, is this going to be the last? What can we do as a people, as a government, as law enforcement, to ensure that this issue is, I don't want to say nipped in the bud, but that we find a way to end it or stop it in its tracks? Because how do you explain that a young lady leaves home, sometimes for school, they leave and the family says, all the best, wish you the best and stuff like that, and you never get to see them, and there's no news as to, there's no closure. You can't, I mean, words can't explain how such family feels. And then there's just one boy somewhere who wants to blow, and he needs blood to do that. So he grabs a young girl with a bright future ahead of them and just snatches them away like that. And
like that.
Look at the issue of the other guy in, it was in Calabar, or so, but somewhere around the south, who also was using employment gimmick to lure young girls into his house, and then it would rape them and then kill them. All right, but there was this one
always that
yes,
one.
that actually, blew the lead on him and things like that. So it just shows that, like we also mentioned, values are flying out the window. And then there is also the fact that people's desperation for wealth, for power, for influence, to belong, like that rapper says, you want to chill with the big boys. And there's just no limits that you can't go to. I mean, you go to all the extremes to make that happen. It's so sad.
And young girls in particular, I know that they say we cannot be too careful, but we can be careful.
Right.
We can be careful enough. We can look after ourselves. Let people know where you're going to. Let people know who you're hanging out with. This time around, it was because he was caught with that sack. If not, the boy would probably have lied that, she left the house or she didn't come around or,
I've also been calling her, she's not taking.
She's not taking her calls. And nobody would suspect because this person is hiding under the cover of a gospel musician
Right.
or a gospel artist. And in his, I don't want to, in his defense, he said it was self-defense that made him. And how do you behead a person in self-defense?
Self-defense, yeah.
And all of that. So all of those things don't gel, they don't add up. So let's be careful. Let's not go after. But most of the cases that we see, now this is not victim shaming or victim blaming here. But for some of those cases, like I was watching a video a few days ago where a young lady ran mad. It was alleged that, she had gotten herself into some spiritual stuff with some guys, Yahoo guys who are now taking things spiritual and all of that. And I've seen similar videos like that, and it showed this girl coming out from a club and all of that. We can be careful. We can be contentment. We can be content. And if you check it, most of the reasons why girls do extreme things or go extreme is because of very materialistic things. I feel like these things that you want, they will come to you in due time. If you focus, if you work hard, it will come to you. And by the time it comes to you, you wouldn't even, So all of these things will come,
Right.
not because of material things, hairs, clothes, shoes, clubs, and all of that. Make compromises, put yourselves in danger or harm's way. They will come to you. Let's be careful. Watch out. You don't have to travel here to go and see a man because of money, because of, look after yourself. And because if you are gone, you're not only taking your life, you're going to be putting your family in severe pain. Putting the people that, I understand some people say, they do these things because they want to fend for their families and all of this. But if anything happens to you, you're putting that family in pain and that family will be left alone as well. So you have to watch after yourself and know that everything that you desire, you can make money by yourself. You don't necessarily have to go around, sleeping with all kinds of people you don't know where they've dipped their hands in, where they're coming from and all of that, just to get material things. And at the end of the day, ask those people that have been into it. It is an exercise in futility. At the end of the day, it's not worth it. So look after yourself. Look after yourself. And to the people, the police too, they need to be extra on this matter. There are lots of young boys. I learned that somewhere in your place, there's a school for people.
For people to do what?
For people to learn these fraudulent activities, like parents go and how people enroll their children in
schools,
like
maybe even a skill acquisition center.
Yes, skill acquisition center and all that. But this one, they carry that, like, go and enroll their sons. I want you to teach this my kid how to do these things and these things. So that's just tell you where is our the level of moral decay.
I think that's Grapevine that sold you that story, by the way. But what Queen Adaba is talking about is a very serious issue. It's serious to the point that you have parents who now even encourage their children. It used to be just encourage them, but now they've gone beyond encourage them. They give them all the support. They lead them on. They guide them to learn how to do internet fraud. That's the point Queen is making. To the point that they now graduate, for want of better words, from these so-called academies, and then they become independent fraudsters. So they don't have to rely on anybody. They don't need to have somebody under whom they work anymore. That's what it means. But the question is it sustainable? The question is, does it not eat into the moral fabric of society? The question is, does it not paint Nigeria black in the Committee of Nations? The question is, does it not bastardize an image that as a country we are trying to polish again? We're trying to reinvent, all right? So the long and short of the story is there's desperation on both sides. This is not blame game we're doing this one. It's just to say that we must all take responsibility for the choices we make and the decisions we take. It's as simple as that. That's the long and short of the story. And parents must realize that they can't drop the ball now, all right? If anything, even if we cannot raise the bar, let's not bring it any lower than where it stands currently. So we're going to take a quick break now, everyone. When we return, we'll look at papers for you, but one big conversation on the course of the show today is the impeachment of Mudashiru Abasa, as it stands now, less than 24 hours down the line, former Speaker of Lagos State House of Assembly. There's so much to talk about in that regard. Some people are now asking, is this impeachment of former Speaker Obasa hubris, as they call it, or is it just a political coincidence that happened in Lagos yesterday? We have those details for you in vivid colors. Stay with us.
program, it's time for us to bring to you the pages, the front pages of the papers, our national dailies. And this morning we're starting with the Punch. Big story here says, inside story, how hubris intrigues, power play sealed Obasa's fate. Deputy Speaker Miranda sworn in as Lagos' first female speaker. Sanwo-Olu claims innocence. The writer there. Above the nameplate, we have again Boko Haram strikes in Borno, kills 40 and abducts scores. Port rehabilitation delayed despite $700 million loan. Traffic hike. Telcos, ICT firms owe bank 1.69 trillion naira. And then we have coronation date fixed as Alaafin designates gets staff of office. Gospel singer arrested with severed core members' head in Nasarawa. And the tax bills, Senate meets federal government team, plans public hearing. Okay, we have one more story here. Depot raised petrol price to 950 naira per litre. These are the stories we have on the front page of the Punch. But I just want to react to the Boko Haram strikes in Borno again. But Borno State has been in the news consistently, again and again and again, for terrorist attack, bandits attack, headers attack, and all of that. You know, all sorts of news that you can think of. People don't even want to call, members don't want to be deployed to Borno, staffs don't want to be, transferred to these states. And it's just sad that we see again that Boko Haram strike kills 40 people. It was in Borno State that we had the Chibok abduction.
Right.
And we still have, I thought that after that abduction in Chibok, that would be, put an end to all of the killings and abductions in Borno State. But over time, we've seen these things happen again and again and again in Borno State. I don't know, but a lot still needs to be done. Our security agencies still need to do a whole lot to ensure that Borno State is safe. I cannot even imagine what it feels like living in Borno or working in Borno right now. Because one minute, these people can strike again.
Right. So you're walking on eggshells. You're walking a tightrope, and then you can't sleep with two eyes closed. All right. So sad a narrative. What can we do? We turn to Daily Trust for you now, where again, this headline that Queen just got emotional about is also a big story on the front page of today's issue of the Daily Trust newspaper. It says how Boko Haram killed 40 farmers in Borno. That's according to survivors. Two writers with that headline: victims for mass burial today. That announcement in itself just sends jitters down one's spine. The second writer tells us, pursue attackers. Zulum tells military, that's the governor there, urging the military to track the perpetrators of these dastardly acts. We go further down. FG confirms bird flu outbreak in Kano. PDP crisis. Ayawo resumes as secretary despite court order. Of course, this national secretary position tussle within the People's Democratic Party has been here for a while. It's been one court judgment after another, and then, of course, we're saying that, the conflict doesn't seem to have an end in sight. Tomorrow, all else equal, PDP chief chain will be joining us to look at all of these issues quite incisively. Lawmakers query JAMB for spending 9 billion naira on meals, trips, trainings, others. All right. Well, what can we do? As they will say in Pidgin Palace, man must work, right? So they should eat, shouldn't they?
They should. They must eat.
Besides, they have to travel, they have to train. They call it training and retraining. You have to build capacity and. Well, it depends the number of trainings, the quality of food, the quantity of it, what's more, the kind of trains.
The convenience.
Yes, exactly.
Transportation.
Right.
Transportation.
The number of flights. And then the caliber of the facilitators who put these trainings together, for how long these trainings lasted and things like that. But you see, we became proud of JAMB at some point, Queen, because once Professor Ishak Oloyede took over, we saw the radical changes that came up, whether it's the CBT innovation or the remittance that the board started making, which was astronomically higher than what had been the case before that. Because before he came into office, it was just a few millions that were remitted, and people didn't really care much after JAMB was running, and I mean, it didn't really matter much to people. But once this new level of remittances came in, it became such that everybody said, hold on a second, so it is actually possible for JAMB to remit this much and things like that. So when lawmakers now begin to raise eyebrow over JAMB saying, well, we spent some 9 billion eating, because whether you call it food or you call it refreshment, it is food, all right? Let's be clear, it goes into your tummy, all right? And then you say, well, we also did some trainings here and there, we traveled, of course, no doubt about that, so it's 9 billion. But the question is, all of these issues, do they see the light of day? Whether lawmakers raise eyebrow or they shut their eyes, what difference does it make? Who is breaking down this 9 billion into small fragments to say, okay, this is what you spent on this kind of training? You know, somebody once said that ministries, departments, and agencies of government, they know how to use trainings and consultancy to do a lot. Even state governors do that a lot, commissioners do that a lot, ministers do. But we see in the end, it is the everyday Nigerian, most of whom are already on the streets now, that suffer. It's a case of when elephants fight, because there used to be 2 elephants, but now there are so many elephants you can't even count anymore. So the grasses suffer is increasing every day, because these are big elephants and these are numerous elephants. So the suffering that the grass has to endure just keeps increasing steadily. But the question is, are we going to step on our brakes at some point and, as Americans will say, stop pumping gas? Well, we hope that happens real soon. But let's see 3 more headlines for you before we move ahead. Tax reform bills top agenda as National Assembly resumes today. Of course, now we know Queen is not the only one resuming work. National Assembly also would resume today. All right. Since that cost Lagos Speaker his seat, that's in apparent reference to Mudashiru Obasa, whose speakership was brought to an abrupt end yesterday. Some people say, well, it was not really abrupt. The man has been there for years, so what's the big deal? Is he the only one who is eligible to lead the House of Assembly? After all, there are other people who are eminently qualified. Well, we have a woman there now as a speaker, and people are saying, look, let's give her the support that she needs, and let's watch her do wonders. All right, single-use textbooks. Parents allege racketeering in private schools. I mean, how does that even work? Single-use textbook. Does that mean it's disposable, or they are disposable? You use them one-off, you trash them. Single-use textbooks. Parents allege racketeering in private schools. Why are we doing that? Is it to save the environment? I mean, environmental concerns, or is it to cut costs, or is it for the purpose of convenience? Well,
so that the quality of the books will be less.
Right, exactly. So what exactly, how does it work? Well, I just read up those details when you pick up a copy of Daily Trust newspaper today. Queen Agaba has the next paper for us.
Okay, now we're moving on to the next paper, which is the Nation newspaper for you. And on the Nation newspaper, we have big story here. Says how federal government plans to raise 36.35 trillion naira revenue by Bagudu. And then we have above the nameplate here, ISWAP kills 40 farmers in Borno, CDS to troops. It says halt terror. Anyanwu back as PDP National Secretary. Ologun Nagba kicks. And we have Senate panel, federal government's team meets over tax reform bills. Why Tinubu should intervene in AMCON, firm dispute. Why Lagos Speaker Obasa was removed, we saw that in our previous paper. Air Force probes Zamfara accidental bombing. Naomi, others get 30 million naira bail. I think this topic is what dissects the topic of the former wife of
Queen of Ooni of Ife.
Who has been granted bail of 30 million naira, and prior to that she has been held in custody for murder. I think charges on murder.
Right.
And
accelerated death,
conspiracy
and all of that. Well, we understand that this is just one phase of it. That the Oyo State government under Governor Seyi Makinde has also instituted some 18-count charge against her. Meanwhile, others are saying, no, the governor should not make this personal. The state government should, just get their hands off of this whole matter and all of that. But again, let's be clear, it's not about Governor Seyi Makinde. It's about the fact that this happened in the states. The governor has a responsibility, no doubt about that, all right, to protect the lives of citizens. Maintain public peace and all of that. So if the state government decides to bring, to press charges, as I say, it's a legal thing to do. So there's no need to get personal and confrontational about it.
Well, another section of people have said that the organizers of that event should not be held hostage as to how much they are being held in custody right now, and should not be treated this much or this terribly. Rather, the parents of these children should also be locked up, or should be given punishment
for
negligence, particularly because they said that some parents were throwing their children over the fence just to ensure
that's
that
some desperation
partake rather of the event, and that these people who have been remanded in custody, that their intentions were to some sort alleviate the sufferings of the people, particularly during the Christmas period, so that children get to celebrate Christmas with gifts
and
enjoy Christmas. And it's unfair that they are being punished, but I understand that laws has to be taken to set precedents and an example, so that when people organize events like this, they ensure that they have adequate security, and they ensure that they use places that are convenient and can accommodate the number of people, because according to them, the organizers, the Mr. Hamzat, who is the radio owner and the Queen and another associate, that they had expected 5,000 people to come, but over 500,000 people.
That's over half a million.
And parents seeing that people slept at the venue overnight just to ensure that, because according to, I saw a video actually where the Queen was saying it was a first come first serve kind of thing, and in Ibadan, people were sleeping over. Parents were leaving their children to sleep over just so that they could
get ahead.
They could get ahead and get these gifts or be in front. But that just goes to show you what kind of parents would allow their children. We're talking about children. These are children less than 10 years, less than 12 years old. Sleep in a venue or stay there with them. And the program was organized for children, but adults were in attendance times 2. The number of children that were present, and so you can imagine the stampede and the place was very rowdy. A place that was supposed to accommodate 5,000 people, accommodating thousands, hundreds of thousands of people, and so even the security that they had could not.
They were overwhelmed.
Could not, control that number of crowd. I saw that, and it was large, and so parents as well. But I'm just saying as well, I think that shows the level of poverty in Ibadan, in Nigeria as a whole. The economy is hard, particularly in Ibadan, for people to have come out en masse for a program organized for children. We saw adults, mature people who didn't even have children, and we saw parents throwing their children over the fence just so that they can just tell you that, and in their bid to be kind or to be fair, they got themselves into trouble. But this is also a lesson for anybody who is organizing, and I hope that this does not deter well-meaning Nigerians and good people from trying to do good, because you never can tell. I've heard of cases where people want to renovate structures, they want to redo roads, rebuild roads, but their efforts are being frustrated by the government because, and they back up because they don't want to get into trouble. So I hope that well-meaning Nigerians don't stop to do good, and I hope also that when we want to do good, when we want to organize events like this, we ensure that we check all of the list. There are ambulances, there are adequate security measures, the hall, the place, the space, the capacity, all of these things are put in check. Medical first aid, medical team on ground, just so that we never have a repeat of this kinds of occurrences again. Well, we're moving on to other stories now. On the Nation newspaper, we have Oyo Agog as Alaafin gets staff of office. And then we have telcos to disconnect banks over 250 billion naira USSD debts. And then we have 4 airlines to lead 2025 pilgrims. Group rejects Mbata as Ohane is president. These are the stories we have on the front page of the Nation newspaper.
Well, thank you, Queen. Incidentally, we have our last paper here, the Leadership newspaper. We begin with the 2 headlines above the nameplate. Top left, we have a picture of Chief of Defense Staff General Christopher Musa. It reads, troops neutralize 25 terrorists, destroy Bello 3G's camp. Sounds like a significant success for not just the troops, but people across the Northwest and Nigeria indeed. Jimmy Carter saved me from Abacha's gulag. There's former President, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, talking. By the way, the former president also has mentioned recently that he and the late U.S. Former President, Jimmy Carter, shared some values, some attributes. You can look it up and see what those attributes are. He's not talking about skin color, obviously, but he says they did share some attributes. What more do we have? It says rent default cases rise over hardship, cost of living. I mean, how can you pay your landlord when you're trying to roughen things or toughen things out? I mean, it's a conversation that's on its own level. You know, Burna Boy says, if you no pay your landlord, yawadi. But so, as of when he sang that song, well, let's just say we're not telling this kind of story. But now I'm sure your landlord understands better because we are all in this together, whether we like it or not. Yes, your landlord may want to wear a frown and all of that, but in the final analysis, if he knows that you have had a history of always paying and now you suddenly are dragging in payments, then that means, as my mom would say, there's something underneath. So is he able to lift the surface to see what's underneath? Well, we'll see how that pans out. Tax bills show Nigerians consultation reports. Bauchi tells presidency. Tax bills show Nigerians consultation reports. Bauchi governor tells presidency. That's Governor Bala Mohammed again railing against these tax reform bills. He has been very unequivocal about his concerns, about his thoughts, and his position on these tax bills. I'm very sure from what we know today, the stance of Governor Bala Mohammed of Bauchi State on issues around these tax bills is not pretty much different from what other 18 governors of the North think. I mean, across political divide or partisan lines, right? Okay, then the Star story reads, 5 governors may dump parties ahead of 2027. I'm not sure this is surprising to Queen Agaba because, I mean, 2027 is already in play for most politicians. Therefore, we are likely going to be seeing this horse trading, cross-carpeting, and negotiation, quid pro quo, as they call it in Latin, going on, right? But this big story here has 3 riders with it. PDP G3 over Mba, Oboriwori, and Fubara. Now, these are the governors of Enugu, Delta, where else? You have that of Rivers as well as Akwa Ibom. So these are PDP governors, and these are states that are basically referred to as PDP states, or when they want to call it differently, they say they are PDP strongholds. But now they say that even the PDP itself is not feeling like we can't be sure now because the dynamics are changing very radically, and in the build up to the 2027 general election, we can't tell exactly what will happen, especially given that there are also insinuations now that Governor Sharif Oboriwori of Delta State is moving from the PDP to the APC, and the governor and some of his aides have come to say that this governor has too much sense to leave the PDP. But have we not heard politicians even swear on their parents' grave that they won't move? Well, we move. We move. Yes, we have just 2 more riders here. It says OT in the spotlight as LP crisis lingers. They won't dump platforms for APC aides, of course. Water scarcity hits Mina, vandals blamed. IDP camp will soon be history in Benue. That's Governor Aria speaking. That's very reassuring.
We really hope so.
The numbers are soaring, right?
Yeah, the numbers are soaring, and their conditions are very pathetic, traumatic, you know. And we've had cases where the IDPs, people in IDPs, complain about, you know, and to think that monies are donated to these IDPs, but they are not evenly distributed. And the people in some of these IDP camps have complained about being harassed or violated. Some of these, so I really look forward to a time where we would not have internally displaced persons camp, where people would not be displaced either by headers or farmer or bandits and all of that, or incidences where they are put in such vulnerable states and vulnerable conditions, and you know, they beg to feed, and the food is not enough, it's not sufficient, it's not adequate, it's not, the environment is not even conducive for these people. I look forward to it, and since it's reassuring coming from the governor, we'll hold him accountable, and we hope that, you know, it's a thing of the past.
All right, let's see. It says Channels TV, Chevron, Shell, Bosses, others bag awards as Government College Ugeli celebrates at 80. I mean, that's quite a long time to be public school, government college, prestigious school. It's 80 years, no jokes either. All right, that's what we're going to give you with the papers this morning. But as always, do well to pick up a copy for yourself. But there's this story here that you find, I mean, whose details you find on page 20 of the issue of the Leadership newspaper. It says water scarcity hits Mina. By the way, for the benefit of our viewers, Mina is the state capital of Niger State. There's something FCT minister said about vandals recently, especially vandals who exploit things like manhole covers. They say it's very valuable. I mean, these manhole covers. Yes, very good. Yes, Abuja. Exactly. You can imagine that, all right? I remember I was working with a colleague a few nights ago. He said, you have to watch this piece in front of you and things like that. Imagine how many persons would have fallen.
I know somebody personally last year.
You can't imagine the pain.
Broke his phone, broke his arm, spent hundreds of thousands.
Just to
broke his chest, had a fracture or something like that.
Around his chest.
Around his chest.
And bumped his chest.
Just around the house. Because we never thought that just somewhere around close to a particular mall, he just take a stroll.
Right.
And that evening he was taking a stroll, one night he was taking a stroll, and didn't know that the manhole had been removed. And that was how he fell, hit his chest, so broke his phone, fell inside of that. The phone could not be retrieved that day, so in the morning he has to pick up.
Just
and then he started going for x-rays. You can just imagine the danger he had.
For no fault of his.
No fault of his. So, and I saw a video where people were talking about right here in the central area in Abuja here, where the manholes were removed on a particular road, straight down. I can't remember that road, but you know, all of the manholes overnight.
Central area of Abuja, not outskirts.
Not outskirts. Not outskirts.
So for those of you who are saying that Minister Yesa Wike went too far by the things he said regarding vandals, well, you probably don't know how the law works, and more importantly, you don't understand that human lives are at risk. The minister and the police are not just talking about the economic issues here. They're not just talking about the value of the manhole covers or what it will cost the authorities to replace them. That's a concern, no doubt about it. But more importantly, every right-thinking Nigerian is saying that you're putting people in harm's way. You are endangering people's lives. People have died because of these things. And then to even think that it's in a place like the FCT, the nation's capital, that's already an image problem. It's embarrassing. So it just means that those of you who are perpetrating this evil, those of you who are aiding them by buying them, by telling them where to find them, by giving them all the help and support and assistance they need, technical or otherwise, all right, to carry out these heinous crimes, just know that, as they say, is the same rope that ties all of you, because in the end everybody will have to stand in front of the law one way or another. You can't embarrass a nation, exploit a nation, continue to do the wrong thing and expect that you will get away with it ultimately. Well, just to create a caveat quickly, that all of the headlines we bring to you across our papers, I mean all of these papers, Global TV has no contribution to them. We have no editorial latitude over them. So they are basically the publication of their respective editorial boards. Say thank you to all these papers for providing all these headlines to use. We'll take a quick break now. The rest of the program continues shortly. Do stay with us. Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofrebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team.
Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to the global AM News, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and free to air on Nigecomsat. Chief of Defense Staff Christopher Musa says the military follows strict protocols before executing any airstrike across the various theaters of operations. Musa, who was reacting to the recent accidental killing of 16 civilians in Zamfara on Saturday, stated that the military conducts its airstrikes with precision, noting that civilians are not deliberately targeted. A leading Emirate kingmaker in Kano State, Aminu Baba Danagundi, has reacted to an order of the Appeal of Court, Abuja Division, nullifying an earlier order by Federal High Court, Abuja. Danagundi expressed vehement disagreement with the appellate court over what some now call a controversial judgment. The Court of Appeal...
I am of the opinion that you cannot, just by repealing a law, sack all of us without giving us any fair hearing. So I did not agree with what the government did. That's why I ran to the Court of Appeal and I got that order. And in that order, the judge did not even go into the main issue or anything. All he said is maintain status quo ante. And then he picks a date for us to come and address the law, for our lawyers to come and address him on the jurisdiction, which he had, all our lawyers, and decide that he has the jurisdiction to entertain our fundamental rights. That was what happened. And that was what the Court of Appeal said. He does not have the right. So I am appealing. I've already appealed against the judgment of the Court of Appeal because I disagree with their ruling. Yes.
The Court of Appeal Abuja Division last week ordered a fresh hearing in the Kano Emirate legal dispute between Ado Bayero and Mohammed Sanusi. 32 members of the Lagos State House of Assembly has impeached Speaker Mudashiru Obasa over allegations of abuse of office and gross misconduct. Obasa, who represents Agege State constituency in 2007, has been accused of spending 17 billion naira on a gate to the assembly complex, which critics argue is excessive and fraudulent. There has also been allegations of mishandling constituency funds and projects. Members of the assembly immediately elected Mojisola Miranda, representing Apapa State constituency, as the new speaker. Meanwhile, the Lagos State House of Assembly has sworn in its first female speaker, Mojisola Miranda. Miranda took her oath of office following the impeachment of the former speaker, Mudashiru Obasa, during plenary. The clerk of the House, Olaleko Onofeko, was also suspended indefinitely, while the chief whip, Mojid Fatai, was elected as the new deputy speaker. Suspected members of the Islamic group Boko Haram terrorists has reportedly killed a yet-to-be-known number of farmers in Kukawa local government area of Borno State. Reports say the incident occurred in a village called Kaya Kura in Kukawa, and residents in the area who confirmed the incident say many farmers were abducted by the terrorists. Meanwhile, the State Commissioner of Information and Internal Security, Usman Tar, confirmed the attack in a statement, calling on the armed forces to track and neutralize the criminals. Elsewhere in the news, troops of 6th Division, Nigerian Army, have destroyed no fewer than 32 illegal refineries in its continued efforts to curb oil theft across the Niger Delta region. The troops, with support from other security agencies, also deactivated 14 boats used for the criminal activities, arrested 15 suspected oil thieves, and recovered over 60,000 liters of stolen products during the operations. Acting Deputy Director, 6th Division Army Public Relations, Lieutenant Colonel Jonah Danjuma, in a statement, say the operations
were conducted between January 6th and January 12th, 2025 across the Joint Operations Area. Nigeria will on Wednesday, January 15th, host a regional meeting on Lassa fever vaccine development. The coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Mohammed Pati, disclosed this during an interview with newsmen. Last December, the Nigeria Center for Disease Control and Prevention activated the Lassa Fever Emergency Operations Center to address the current Lassa fever outbreak during the peak season. Still on health matters, the coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Mohammed Pati, has disclosed that an independent assessment has been conducted to evaluate the quality of care in tertiary hospitals across the country. Pati, speaking during an interview, noted that the survey was carried out by the National Tertiary Hospital Standards Committee in order to evaluate the quality of care provided to patients. He explained that the committee was formed based on the provisions of the National Health Act of 2014. The Federal Capital Territory Commissioner of Police, CP Tony Disu, says arrested vandals of manholes and public property will henceforth be charged with economic sabotage and attempted murder. Disu made the statement during a press briefing following a Security Council meeting with the FCT Minister Nyesom Wike. Last week, the operatives of the FCT Police Command, in collaboration with sister agencies, arrested 50 suspected vandals in separate raids at hotspots in Kabusa, Garki, Mabushi, and Wuse. A chieftain of the All Progressives Congress APC in Kano State, Mukhtar Ishaq, has trained over 1,400 youths on information technology. The exercise was organized in line with the party's national chairman, Dr. Abdullahi Ganduje's commitment to youth empowerment across Kano State. Global Television's Northwest correspondent Idris Jibrin reports.
Drawn from the 44 local government areas of Kano State, these youth were trained on various aspects of information technology under the Mukhtaria Foundation of the All Progressive Congress.
For the first 5 years we have been doing it, and every year we are increasing the number of intake in the school. So we would like to continue with that.
According to these APC chieftains in Kano, the training program aligns with the commitments of the APC national chairman to youth empowerment across the country.
As you know, our father, our political godfather, Baba Ganduje, has been in the forefront of actualizing skills acquisition in Kano State was the establishment of Dangote Skills Acquisition Center.
Chairing the occasion, leader of the Northern Lawmakers, Alhassan Ado Dogwa, clarifies the position of the House regarding the controversial tax reform bill as he challenged political representatives to adopt alternative education system such as this one.
Education, I want to repeat, education is so huge a project that the government cannot do it alone. Take for instance the tax reform bills to which we are all standing vehemently against. We are standing against it because we believe it might not work out well for the people we are representing. It doesn't matter who is the governor of Kano State, but at least I am an indigen of Kano State. It doesn't matter who is the governor in Kazina, or in Kaduna, or in Zamfara, or in Enugu. But any program that comes to bear negatively to the fortunes of our respective governments in our respective states, then those of us who are on the floor of the House of Representatives to hold brief for our people will dare not allow any policy that will come and be detrimental to the interests and aspirations of our own people.
About 1,410 of these youth have now benefited from this training program and are expected to become self-reliant. From Kano, Idris Jibrin reporting for Global Television News.
Now on judicial matters, the President of the Court of Appeal, Justice Monica Dongban Mensem, has cautioned judges of courts with coordinate jurisdiction against delivering conflicting judgments. Justice Dongban issued the warning during the commencement of the special sitting of the Court of Appeal in Enugu, emphasizing the importance of the rigorous conference process where justices deliberate collectively on cases. She noted that this practice will be strictly upheld under the leadership of the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Kudirat Kekereekun, urging legal practitioners to familiarize themselves with the Court of Appeals rules to ensure efficient court proceedings. An Oyo State High Court sitting in Ibadan, presided over by Justice K.B. Olawoyin, has granted the bail applications filed by Olori Naomi Shilekunola, Oriyomi Hamzat, and Abdullahi Fasasi, who are facing trial on a 4-count charge which borders on conspiracy, acceleration of debt, negligent acts causing harm, and omitting to provide adequate security and medical facilities. A Chief Magistrate Olabisi Ogunkomi, presiding over Chief Magistrate's Court in Ibadan, had on December 24, 2024, ordered the trial to be remanded at Agodi Correctional Facility, pending an advice from the Department of Public Prosecution of the Oyo State Ministry of Justice. According to reports, the Oyo State government had instituted a fresh 18-count charge suit before the Oyo State High Court against the trio in relation to the stampede bordering on alleged conspiracy to commit a felony. The National Hajj Commission of Nigeria, NACON, has announced the approval of 4 airlines to airlift pilgrims for the 2025 Hajj. This is contained in a statement signed by the Assistant Director Information and Publication for the Commission, Fatima Usara. The statement said the selection process was conducted by a 32-member aviation screening committee inaugurated on November 26, 2024 by the Commission's Chairman, Professor Abdullahi Usman. In a related development, the Federal Capital Territory Muslim Pilgrims Welfare Board has announced January 30th, 2025 as a new deadline for the registration of individuals intending to participate in 2025 Hajj pilgrimage. In a statement signed by the board's spokesperson, Mohammed Ali, the extension follows a directive from the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria to state pilgrims' welfare boards and agencies to complete all financial remittances by February 1st. Ali says the board has already utilized over 40% of its Hajj quota since beginning the registration process in September 2024 and therefore urge prospective pilgrims to take advantage of the extension to make their deposits. You're watching the live broadcast of the AM News on Global Television, coming to you from the nation's capital, Abuja. When the AM News returns, oil price rises above $81 per barrel on the global oil market. We'll bring you details of this as well as big stories right after the break. Please stay with us. Many thanks for staying with us. If you've just joined us, this is Global Television, bringing you live broadcast of the AM News. In business, oil price rose above $81 per barrel on Monday as the global oil market responded to the latest aggressive sanctions on Russia's oil industry by the United States. Oil marketers in India and China got a wave of the sanctions. On Friday, the global oil benchmark crossed $80 per barrel as they held emergency meetings to assess the situation. This is the highest price in more than 4 months as U.S. sanctions on Russia and Iran projects global oil prices to soar. There are indications that the federal government will tomorrow list out names of 18 banks owing almost 200 billion naira to Nigerian telecom operators on unstructured supplementary service data, USSD, and remained adamant towards settling it for several years. The reason for the public seems to be for the telcos to stop offering them services that enable their customers to conveniently do online banking. As the country battles incessant blackout, about 215 manufacturers and academic institutions have abandoned their respective power distribution companies to generate their own electricity. The organizations, many of whom are bulk electricity users, shunned the national grid to generate reliable electricity for themselves. This is coming amid the high cost of electricity, fuel price hikes, incessant grid collapses. The National Agricultural Development Fund has signed a contract agreement valued at $70 million for the direct procurement of 2,000 John Deere tractors. NAFT was mandated by the Federal Executive Council to spearhead the deployment of 10,000 John Deere tractors across Nigeria, with an initial rollout of 2,000 units scheduled for the first and second quarter of 2025 and to scale up to 10,000 over the next 5 years. On the foreign scene, the United States unveiled new export rules on chips used for artificial intelligence, furthering efforts to make it tough for China and other rivals to access advanced technology in Joe Biden's final days as president. The restrictions build on curbs announced in 2023 on exporting certain AI chips to China, which the United States sees as a strategic competitor. In recent years, Washington has expanded its effort to curb exports of state-of-the-art chips to China, which can be used in AI and weapons systems, as Beijing's tech advancements spark concern among policy makers. Official documents have shown that the suspended South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol will receive a scheduled pay rise despite an impeachment trial and investigation into his ill-fated martial law declaration. Yoon has been impeached by lawmakers and is awaiting a final constitutional court ruling that could finalize his removal from office after he suspended civilian rule on December 3rd, sending soldiers into parliament and plunging South Korea into its worst political crisis in decades. Yoon was given a raise according to the civil servant salary table for 2025, even as he remains holed up in the presidential residence using his security detail to resist arrest. The United States Citizenship and Immigration Services has announced that it has received sufficient number of petitions to meet the limits for the extra 20,716 H-2B visas allocated for returning workers in the first half of fiscal year 2025. According to USCIS, the petitions allocated as part of the fiscal year 2025 temporary final rule that was published on December 2nd for returning workers have now been fully submitted. The final receipt date for petitions requesting these visas was January 7th, 2025. The visas were available for workers with start dates on or before March 31st, 2025 under the H-2B supplemental cap temporary final rule. U.S. President Joe Biden and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu have spoken by phone in Biden's final week in office as momentum builds towards a Gaza ceasefire and hostage release deal. Israel and Hamas are understood to be making progress, but uncertainty remains over key aspects of the potential agreement. While the White House said Biden discussed the fundamentally changed regional circumstances following Israel's ceasefire with Hezbollah in Lebanon, the fall of the Assad regime in Syria and the weakening of Iran's power in the region, Netanyahu's office said he had updated Biden on instructions he had given to senior negotiators in Doha in order to advance the release of the hostages. Mozambique is set to swear in its new parliament following months of deadly protest over an election in October that the opposition say was rigged. Opposition leader Venancio Mondlane has called on his supporters to hold peaceful protests from Monday to Wednesday, when Daniel Chapo is due to be installed as president. Mondlane claims he won the presidential vote and that the results were rigged in favor of Chapo's Frelimo party, which has been in power for 50 years. In sports now, the new head coach of the Super Eagles, Eric Schelle, has vowed to introduce an attacking mentality to the senior men's football national team, saying football is about scoring. Shele made the remarks during his official unveiling at the ceremony inside the media conference room of the Moshood Abiola National Stadium, Abuja. Shele won 5 caps for the Aiglons of Mali in a playing career that also saw him playing for FC Martigues, Valenciennes, Lens, Iris, and Chamois Niottais. The chairman of the National Sports Commission, Shehu Diko, has defended the appointment of Eric Shele as the new coach of the Super Eagles, praising his exceptional coaching, especially with the Malian Eagles. The 47-year-old's appointment by the Nigeria Football Federation, NFF, has faced criticisms, with some arguing the football body settled for a former Malian coach instead of choosing a Nigerian for the top job. Speaking during a television program, Diko stated that Shele has a strong understanding of African football and is well suited for the job. Meanwhile, Eric Shele has officially been unveiled as the new head coach of Nigeria Super Eagles at a ceremony which took place at the media conference of the Moshood Abiola National Stadium in Abuja. The Nigerian Football Federation, NFF, confirmed the former Mali international's appointment last Tuesday, making him the 42nd substantive head coach of the Super Eagles. Well, in boxing now, boxing legend Tyson Fury has announced his retirement from the sport, bringing an iconic career to an end following consecutive losses to undisputed heavyweight champion Oleksandr Usyk. Speculation had been rife about Fury's next move, with fans eagerly anticipating either a trilogy bout against Usyk or a long-awaited showdown with fellow Briton Anthony Joshua. Instead, the Gypsy King has chosen to bow out of the ring, leaving an indelible mark on the world of boxing. And that's it on the Global AM News, and it came to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. A quick reminder that Global TV is on DSTV channel 365, on Star Times channel 276, and free to air on Nigecomsat. Kindly follow us across all social media platforms using @Global TV NG and other handles now showing on your screen. I'm Queen Agaba. Thank you for watching, and the program Global Morning continues. Please stay with us.
Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofwebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team.
Let's put our talk on the road quickly, everyone. Yesterday for Lagos State, especially the politics there, it was a bit of radical change in leadership at the State House of Assembly. Mudashiru Obasa, who had been the speaker for several years until yesterday, eventually found that position coming to an end. Some people say the end was abrupt, others say, well, it was a long time coming. By the way, I ran into a picture of Obasa and former Governor Akinwumi Ambode just this morning, and I was wondering how time flies, really. At the point Ambode was the governor, just for the record, Ambode was there as governor from 2015 to 2019. And for those who are wondering, how did he do just one term? Well, that's not a story for today. But then I'm just trying to establish the fact that Mr. Obasa had been there as speaker for such a long time. Some people were wondering if he was ever going to leave there at some point or eventually wrap up his political career as the speaker of the Lagos State House of Assembly. Others said, well, you know, it's the APC thing in Lagos, and the man had also found favor with the now president, former governor of Lagos State, talking about Bola Tinubu. Others say he had wound his way carefully and politically into the heart of every governor who had come to that state over time. But yesterday just proved so many people wrong. Today we know for a fact that he had been replaced by a woman now talking about the new speaker who took office almost immediately, and the leadership of that house has changed because we understand that even some key officers or principal officers, as they are called, have now been suspended indefinitely. All of this happened, several processes behind the former speaker. But how intriguing has this been? There are those who have blamed it on several factors, which were here to distill and put in front of you this morning. I'm joined by fourth line party chieftain, that is chieftain in the All Progressives Congress, the APC, which is the ruling party both in Lagos State and at the federal level. A very staunch supporter of President Bola Tinubu, a businessman and a public affairs commentator, Chief Chibuna Ubawike. It's a great pleasure have you join us, and we say Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year, thank you very much.
All right, I know you are not talking from Lagos State this morning, but of course you are a leader in the APC. Lagos State is an APC state as we know it, and then of course you are one leg in Lagos and one leg in many other places.
Yes.
Let's talk about the phenomenon unknown as a Mudashiru Obasa, because whether you like it or not, it's almost impossible for you to picture Lagos State House of Assembly and not see his face somewhere in your head. What really has happened yesterday?
What happened is the climax of the political intrigues. I saw it coming when he began to oppose the governor, especially when the governor submitted the list of commissioners.
Right.
I know he sat on it, and a lot of furore was generated. And after that one issue after another, and the governor has carried on, maturedly, as a tactical politician, he is, and the thing has continued. So I saw it coming. So being impeached yesterday wasn't surprising to me. Besides, I'm a Lagosian. I live in Lagos, and I follow the politics of Lagos very well. I have a socio-political and socio-cultural group I convened. I am the convener concerning the Igbo Lagos. We participate actively in the politics of Lagos State, supporting the candidates of our party, promoting and propagating the policies and programs of our party in Lagos. I saw it coming, so it was not surprising to me.
Some people are now saying that, this may come a bit, come off as a bit personal, but then it is what it is now. It's almost impossible, especially in a place like Nigeria and the way we politic, to distinguish the person from the game, as it were. But let's talk about the player now, not the game in particular, right? The player in this sense being Mudashiru Obasa. There are those who say what happened to him yesterday was a little beyond politics as we know it. That it was not just about 2027 politics, whether in Lagos or at the federal level. That it was hubris that happened to him. That he was a man who took personal ego too far. Is there any truth in that?
Well, all I will say is that I will answer it this way. Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. The framers and the propagators of the theory of separation of power were not stupid. Montesquieu, when he propounded the theory of separation of power, the executive, they work independently, harmoniously, and for the will of governance to progress. And any head of each of any of those arms that chooses to feel he is independent, absolutely independent of the other, and decides to ride roughshod on the other, what he will experience is what happened. That is what I can deduce from what has transpired. When you are at the helm of affairs, politically speaking, you hold political power. You are holding it in trust. It is not absolute. Power is transient. When you are there, try as much as you can to carry everybody along, every player, every stakeholder along. Do not arrogate too much power to yourself, and you become the lord of manor over everybody. One day it's like what we keep saying, banana peel. The banana peel will sweep you away. And he has tried. Spending 10 years as the Speaker of Lagos State House of Assembly is not a small thing. It's not a small feat. He has tried, so we be impeached now, no problem. At least he has made a record. But when you are holding political power, ensure you dispense that power judiciously. Do not use it to oppress people. You can see what his fellow members of the House of Assembly are saying. Is this, there are allegations. Is this, is that. When he was about, he then also raised those issues.
Right.
Thank you so much. Those are things you see play out in a political power game. It is the play out of political power game that culminated in his impeachment.
We're told by some news story, some report that Mr. Obasa was somewhere in Atlanta, Georgia, when all of this took place. Behind him, all of the processes that led to his impeachment, and they are fingering to a large extent Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu in all of this. Is it really possible for a speaker to be impeached without the governor's influence, or in some cases, if you like, outright directive?
Let me answer it this way. I would not say the governor has a hand or he does not have a hand.
Because you can't hold brief for him.
Thank you very much. So whether he has a hand or does not have a hand is a non-issue. The issue is that his fellow House of Assembly members impeached him, they removed him, and they gave their reasons for removing him. That is just the issue. Whether the governor has a hand or does not have a hand is neither here nor there. That is just the thing. Like I said, if you are holding political power, especially when you are first among equals, carry your fellow members along. Don't run a one-man show, because it will backfire. Even when you feel that they are behind you, something may happen. It is politics. Anything can happen. Nothing is cast in stone in politics. Anything can happen at any time. It's dynamic. Anything can happen at any time. So ensure that you dispense power, equitably and judiciously, so that when issues like this come up, you might survive it. Even if you are going, you know that you hold your head high. You've done your best.
Let's be clear, Chief. You look at this whole issue, and you said when you hold power like this, common sense demands that you should carry your people along. Let's talk about carrying people along. One of the allegations is that he had been perpetrating fraud. Another one says that just prior to this impeachment of yesterday, he had also withdrawn more than 40 billion, a chunk of which was going to be spent or already spent purchasing backup vehicles for members of the Lagos State House of Assembly. Is there a different way to carry them along, or should have taken them to the US?
Well, these are allegations. So I will not say they are true or false. Right. The allegations until proven beyond reasonable doubt. So I will not comment on the allegations. If they were true, at least I believe they would have raised these issues when he was there. Now that he is not there and these issues are coming up, I let the anti-corruption agencies swing into action to investigate and find out the veracity or otherwise of these allegations, so that we will now know where to stand and make an informed opinion or decision.
Mr. Obasa had been, he's been in the Lagos State House of Assembly for a long time. Of course, like you also mentioned, he has been the speaker for at least a decade uninterrupted, which means he had seen as a speaker, this is third governor that is seen, which again is commendable. But when you look at all of these, for instance, isn't that a way of saying that it's risky, maybe we dare to say it's dangerous to have a man stay in an office as sensitive as that of the speaker for that long?
In our own setting, in Nigeria's peculiar situation, it is not risky. Even in the US, you see some members of the legislature for 20 years, 30 years in the legislature.
Even as speaker?
No, not as speaker. Yes, members.
Yes, you can be there for 4 decades.
Thank you. As speaker, maybe if his fellow members found him fit and proper to lead, and maybe that was why they kept electing him as their leader. Maybe I don't know. I can't question that. It is in the wisdom of his fellow members, who elected him, that you should ask, what did you see in this man that you keep electing him to be your speaker for this a number of years? They are the ones that should answer the question.
Chief, is it not curious that this is an APC house, as it were, and that you are having this kind of rancor between, as we know, it's given the facts in public, the governor and the embattled former speaker? One would have thought as an APC kind of thing, it should be seamless between them in such a way that even if they had rancor, for example, it should be such that you don't wash your dirty linen in public.
The contest for political power, especially partisan political power, is an individual thing. The individual, ambition is what gives rise to the way the person behaves or how he conducts himself. belonging to the same party, remember we are different individuals with different mindsets. Belonging to the same party will not take away that our, inbuilt or innate characteristic. So it is an individual thing that we belong to the same party. The party should shape us for us to work in harmony with the manifesto and programs and policies of the party. But that individual characteristic, the party will not take it away from the person. So it's how you conduct yourself. I would say how exposed you are, how you conduct yourself in terms of human relations matters a lot. Matters a lot. So it is not the party thing. Wherever it is, APC is a party made up of various individuals of various backgrounds. So you expect there should be rancor, even in the family of the same parentage. You have rancor and bitterness among siblings. What about a party that is people by characters of various shades and tendencies? You expect to have rancor. You expect to have disagreements.
Let's talk about the replacement now, the new speaker, the lady who some have said will do wonders in this capacity. Of course, I'm not asking you to read a citation. I'm only saying that not every day do you see a woman becoming House Speaker like this. I mean, it's not very common to find. But let's talk about how loyalty to governor by not just the House of Assembly in general, but the Speaker in particular is a very sensitive conversation. So how do we still talk about separation of power that you made allusion to in passing a while ago, and then still come back to the Nigerian politics and talk about issues around the Speaker being loyal to the governor, then issues around being rubber stamp House?
There is a mistake we make when we talk about separation of powers. Like I said, no arm of government will operate independent of the other. There is a symbiotic relationship. Yes, you are distinct. A legislator, yours is to make laws for the good governance of the people and that kind of thing. Executive is to execute the laws you've made. The judiciary is to interpret the laws as we are taught in elementary, politics. But all of you should harmoniously work together to deliver those goods, to deliver good governance to the people. What matters is the deliverance of good governance to the people. That you are working harmoniously with the governor or the president does not take away your independence. If there are issues where you disagree, you iron it out in camera. It should not come to the public. You see, when people take their matter to the public, to the press, they blow it out of proportion for them to say they are working. I am opposing the president. I am opposing the governor. They say, you are independent. No, that is not what it means. That is not what independence connotes. That you relate together, work hand in hand to make sure you deliver good governance to the people. If there are areas of disagreement, you disagree in camera, except when it has gone out of proportion that it's something you cannot resolve. And those areas of disagreement will be what will affect positively the people. If it is things that will impede the progress and development of the state, that will negatively affect the citizens, you disagree. And I believe every governor, every president is reasonable enough to know the policies that will not work for the good of his people. So when the legislature brings it up, you iron it out, make amends where necessary, and carry on. Not coming outside to voice out your disagreement, rain abuses and insults on each other for people to know that yes, you are independent. That is not what independence connotes.
All right. Of course, a lot to talk about independence from the standpoint of legislative business, as they call it, because whether you like it or not, there has to be some sort of synergy between the legislature and the executive. And of course, you can't take away the judiciary as well. Like our guest has said, all three of them have to work in synergy, even though they are, well, at least in principle, supposed to be independent. We are taking a quick break, everyone. When we return, we'll look very critically at the role of the legislature, especially at the sub-national level, and how that should affect the life or quality of life for citizens in ways that are remarkably positive. All of that coming shortly. Please stay with us. Chief, let's talk about the fact that Lagos State House of Assembly has got a new speaker now. I mean, one ordinarily would have thought that would be closure. I mean, we're moving to the next phase already, but most times we have seen, I mean, history teaches us that has not always been the case. We've seen it from Edo to Rivers and everywhere else across this country. Look at Rivers, for example. They've had to have their own back and forth between this speaker and that speaker. No, we are no longer members of the PDP. We have moved. Yes, we are back. Well, we never left in the first instance. No, we have a new speaker. No, the governor cannot present budget to 3-member house and all of that. That's in the case of Rivers. From what we know today, what's the chance that this matter has been laid to rest in Lagos State House of Assembly?
To me, there is a new speaker now, and to the extent of having a new speaker, it has been laid to rest. But the undercurrents are not laid to rest, because the impeached speaker, when he comes back, he will fight back. He still has some supporters amongst the members of Lagos.
So those on the other side should not go to bed yet?
No. In parties and politics, you don't go to bed, because a second matters a lot. A lot of things can happen within a second that will sweep you off your feet.
So did former Speaker Obasa leave the door open in this case?
What I'm saying is that if Obasa comes back, chances are that he will fight back. He will make moves. So the present speaker should also ensure she consolidates her position by carrying the members along very well. A lot of things happen in partisan politics. There are bound to be moves. The impeached speaker might decide to make some moves to upstage the current speaker, to rock the boat somehow. It is what we see play out in partisan politics. I'm not saying that I am aware he will do that, but I know that these are things that can happen. So it is not yet to huru, but as far as there is a new speaker, to that extent, the matter has been laid to rest. But the undercurrent that will follow, we are watching to see how events unfold.
We're talking about events unfolding. Yesterday, we saw supporters of former Speaker Obasa at the Lagos State House of Assembly, of course, most of whom were taken into custody by law enforcement. A lot of people say when things like this happen, it is a case of opening the proverbial Pandora's box, as we know it. But let's leave that for a second and talk about how that. People are now tying this again. I mean, you have analysts everywhere, social media, on the streets. Some of them even come to the studios to talk about these issues. Now, look, yes, maybe Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, who wants to have business taken care of at the House of Assembly level, so that former Speaker Obasa doesn't become a clog in the wheel of progress for his government, that sort of thing. But others say there's some sort of correlation between yesterday's event and the ambition of the president's son, Seyi Tinubu, becoming governor of Lagos State, I should say, in 2027. How do you reckon?
It does not follow. That is those individuals' opinion. To the best of my knowledge, Seyi is not aspiring to be the governor of Lagos State now.
Okay.
So to the best of my knowledge, to the best of my knowledge now, Seyi is not aspiring to be the governor of Lagos State now. It will be politically unwise to do that. It is politically inexpedient to do that. His father is the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Even if Seyi wants to be the governor of Lagos State, I don't think it will be now. It will be politically inexpedient. It will be very, very unwise. It will be politically suicidal, to venture into that now. That is my opinion.
All right, let's move beyond Lagos. But however, use Lagos as it stands right now, a case study, to talk about what ideally the relationship between the Speaker of the House of Assembly in the states and the governor should be, whether they are in the same party or otherwise. Because, for example, we had a speaker in Edo State one time, blessed memory, Barrister Zakawano, right, who many persons have come to refer to as a firebrand speaker when you had Oshomole as the governor of the states. They say, well, he puts the former governor on his toe to work with the people and to be more accountable than a mediocre governor or an average governor should be. Prior to that, we had former speaker as well in the same House of Assembly in those states, talking about Barrister Thomas Okoso, who was speaker where you had former governor Lucky Benedio. They also said he was a firebrand speaker who, even though he was a PDP man like the former governor, Benedio was also a PDP man, didn't look at partisanship. Instead, he focused on what a typical legislator, much so the speaker, should do. But then his people, the other members of the House, whom you probably will say, he didn't carry along, accused him of high-handedness. This was back in the day. as of today, having seen all of these examples across this country end to end, what should be the ideal relationship between the Speaker of the House of Assembly and the governor?
The relationship should be cordial, but not mortgaging the interests of the citizens. The relationship should be very, very cordial, but not mortgaging the interests of the citizens. In as much as the legislature is the soul of democracy, because it is them that puts the proper checks and balances on the executive and the judiciary.
Right.
Their powers are so much, so enormous. That is why the executive and the judiciary should do all they can to work harmoniously with the legislature. The legislature can rock the boat of democracy if they choose to. If they decide to play rough, they can rock the boat of democracy. So, but they have seen the kind of enormous powers they have, they derive from the Constitution. But for there to be good governance, for good governance to be dispensed to the citizens, either that of the state or at the federal level, there should be point of convergence, harmonious relationship for the good of the state, for the good of the nation.
It's interesting, Chief, as we begin to wind down on this conversation, we'll talk about the independence of the legislature across board, whether it's, local council, state or federal. But then we know this is not anything more than theoretical for the most part. Because, how do you explain, for example, that a deputy governor in a state is impeached, those state being most likely the most recent example that comes to mind. And then people say, well, it was the governor that actually used the House of Assembly to impeach the deputy governor, regardless of all of the issues or reasons that the House of Assembly had whipped up, at that point in time. Does that connote independence of the legislature?
That is why I said that the interests of the citizens should matter most. In such cases, it is not the interest of the citizens, it is the interest of the governor and the legislators that it came to play, that we saw playing out. If it is that of the state, the citizens, such cases should not arise, except where we've seen proven cases of gross misconduct. That one should be open, and it should be maybe matters of corruption and things like that. But in the case you just cited, it is power play. I want to show you I am the boss. The legislators are with me. I will teach you a lesson. I will remove you. These are things we see happen in many states when the deputy governors are at the mercy of the governors. The governor can use the legislature to remove the deputy governor if he so wishes, doesn't want to work with the Thank you very much. It's a specific because he has no powers, specifically as assigned to him by the Constitution, except in few cases, So, the legislatures should, exercise their independence in the interest of the state and in the interest of the nation, not in the interest of the governor or in the interest of the president, if it is selfish. Except what the president is doing is in the interest of the nation, or what the governor is doing is in the interest of the state. The legislature should support him, back him up to do that, so that good governance will be dispensed, across board.
It's quite interesting. On the final notes, still talking about the business of legislation, as they call it. We're saying time and again how that it is only the executive that is always said to be, as it were, using the legislature as rubber stamp and so on and so forth. But let's talk about the judiciary, because we make it look like, well, the executive has almost unlimited or limitless latitude, again, thanks to the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. How do we ensure, I know you're not a lawyer, for example, but how do we ensure that the judiciary is able to, as it were, meddle within the ambit of the Constitution between the executive and the legislature? Because most times what we find is that when there are issues like this, Obasa, for example, talking about Lagos State House of Assembly, can decide to come back and go to courts, maybe on the basis of the circumstances and the processes or the procedure that led to his impeachment and things like that. And then at the end of the day, we'll move away from the executive and legislature and begin to put the judiciary in the spotlight. How can the judiciary also, as it were, raise its head above the water?
The judiciary is the moderator of the powers of the legislature and that of the executive.
Right.
That is the role of the judiciary in interpreting the laws. They moderate the excesses of the executive and that of the legislature. All I can say is that when matters are brought before them, let the matter be dispensed judiciously. So that there will be justice for the litigant, there will be justice for the accused, as the case may be, the defendant. Let there be justice for the plaintiff, let there be justice for the defendant. So that everybody will be happy. When the judgment is given or there are judicial pronouncements, let everybody see that the matter, was, let me use that word, judiciously handled, for everybody to benefit from.
All right. Incidentally, we started from Lagos, so let's end it in Lagos. To the best of our knowledge, impeached Speaker Mudashiru Obasa is not back to the country yet. But people say there are factors he needs to consider before he takes whatever action he may intend to.
Yes.
For example, they say he must realize that President Tinubu is not just the president of Nigeria. Yeah. He is also the leader of the APC.
Yes.
On the national level. You can't take that away. So whatever action he needs to take means he must take that into cognizance. The second they say is that he needs to realize that whether or not he has ambition to become Lagos State governor, he must realize also, he must understand that there are people who will make that call, even in addition to the president.
Yes.
The Lagos State governor stands right now, the Incumbent governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu. And that's the number two thing. Number three thing is that he must realize that he needs Lagosians to pull off whatever ambition he has. So what do you advise he should do when he returns now?
You have already mentioned as a partisan politician, right? He needs to consider his steps. Yes, you want to fight. You look at what is your support base. Whom are you fighting for? Will I win this fight? Then who am I fighting against? What will be the outcome? Will he favor me or will he destroy me? In partisan politics, especially the one we play here in Nigeria, it is very dynamic and very tricky. So you look very well before you take up a fight. If you know you are a shrewd politician that is very deft in your moves, you watch what you do, because so that the banana peel will not sweep you off. He should be very careful. I will advise him. He should be very careful. It has happened. It has happened. He's not the first person to be impeached as a speaker, and he has enjoyed God's grace and the political magnanimity of Lagosians to be the speaker for 10 years. So it is a no mean feat. If I were him, I would take it with equanimity and move ahead. But that is what I would do. If he has other ambitions, you pursue it quite quietly. Make your consultations. And if, yes, in the course of your consultation, you are accepted and you are given the nod to go ahead, you move ahead. But if you come back and start fighting without calculating where did this thing start, because like I keep telling you, in matters like this, it started from somewhere.
Right.
There are people behind the scene that, planned and arranged the whole thing, even within among the members of the House of Assembly. So you look at where are they getting their support from. So when you look at those issues, put all of them together, and you discover that it will not favor me going to pursue this cause, you withdraw yourself, and then follow other route to achieve your political ambition, not trying to rock the boat of the state. Because if you do try, well, whatever the person sees, he will take. That is what happens in partisan politics, especially the ones we play here.
I've been speaking with Chief Chibuna Obawike. He's a frontline leader of the All Progressives Congress, a businessman and a public affairs commentator, just dissecting the Lagos Speaker impeachment and all of the developments coming therefrom right now. We understand the impeached Speaker wasn't in the country when this happened less than 24 hours ago, and we keep an eye out here on the ground to see how this pans out upon its return and how that will impact the politics of Lagos State. We'll take a quick break, everyone. When we return, the rest of the show will continue. Do stay with us. Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
Global Morning aims to deliver newspaper review, latest news with experts on key global issues.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Mondays to Sundays to a wide range of the latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
The president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
All right, let's just continue the show. This morning, quite a number of heart-wrenching reports coming through. Of course, nothing really new, as I say, but because they are very gory, it just continues to be a sad reminder of how human beings can go to any length to perpetrate evil. Just a while ago, Queen and I were talking about the young man in Karo area of Nasarawa State, accused of killing his girlfriend and having to decapitate her. Of course, the rest is history, as I say. But now we turn our attention to Cross River State, where another young man is accused of killing his mom with a stick somewhere in Obodu, local government area of Cross River State. And we're told he has an accomplice, one Wilcox, his friend, whom the report now says after joining his friend to kill his mom, hitting her with a stick, they dragged her body and dumped it in the part I got to know when I read the story was where he said, because he spoke pidgin and then there's translation, he said after they had killed his mom, his friend went home. Sounds like we were done with our reading session. My friend went home.
This is hilarious.
So he didn't say, I had expected to say his friend absconded, so the police will now say he's on the run. But he said he went home, like he came to visit me, we're done watching TV.
And then he went home.
Yes.
Like nothing happened. And you know, his friend is an accomplice, helped him to kill his own mother.
Yeah.
I want to know if the mother of the friend is alive, but that's not the case here now.
Don't tell me you are asking for a reprisal.
No. But I mean, how did the friend feel killing
his friend's mom?
And
probably going home to his own mom.
If he can do that with his friend,
how much more?
How much more his own mother? So I'm trying to find out if the mother of that friend is alive, but that's not the case now. The case is, I haven't read the story in depth. I don't know the age range of these two boys, but they are boys, obviously. And it's just sad. Now we're talking about the Karo guy who has killed his girlfriend now. And now he's coming home. Well, it's not just strangers people are killing now. People are killing their family, their blood, their people. So if we don't hop this in, don't think that it's going to be an exception. It's going to be it could just be within. You could just have that cousin around, that person around. You know, if we don't stop talking about, continue talking about this, that it's. I mean, like, okay, what was the reason? It could be that he has gone to one native doctor now who's telling him that they need the blood of his mother, to make money, he's into Yahoo. Or it could be that somebody is telling him that the mother is his problem, the reason why he has not made it in life or something like that. But to what extent, how... I'm still trying to wrap my head around the fact that he killed his mother alongside his friend and dumped her body in a well.
Right. Sad story you want to say?
It's really very sad. It's really very pathetic, and I'm sure he has been remanded in custody now, and his friend as well has been remanded in custody as well. We want to look at moral decadence. At what point? Some of the things we want to be asking is, how did we get here? Where young boys are not afraid, are not to do commit certain heinous crimes against fellow human beings, not an animal or not. People have gone past stealing, so we're still talking about stealing and banditry here, and how people will abduct people, take people to the forest, demand for ransom, and still kill these people again. Now we're talking about people coming to their own houses now, killing their family members.
Right.
Aside from the fact that the crimes, the criminality has increased, young people, I was seeing in the news the other time where a guy and a girl, I think somewhere in Abuja here, or if I'm not mistaken, a young girl of 19 years with her boyfriend of 21 or 22 thereabout, she connived with the boy to abduct herself, to kidnap herself, and demand ransom of 2 million naira from a struggling mother who did not have that money. She put the family into so much, stress, pressure, unnecessary pressure, because the mother was narrating to the police, how everything went. And then when she was asked what was, the reason for it, she said she needed to buy some things, I think hair or something or of that nature, or just she needed money, and then she was going to share this money with the boyfriend.
That must be some fierce love.
So I'm wondering, is that love or very stupid kind of, very stupidity at its peak? Because a 19-year-old girl,
when I was 19, I was smarter than that. You know,
maybe you didn't have a young man in your life that you loved so much. Because inspiration has to come from somewhere.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. No matter that's not love. That's why I say that's not love. That's stupidity. Because love is not wicked. Because that's wickedness as well. You know, on the part of your parents, you know, and your family members, for them to have raised that money which you wanted to share.
Even if it meant scratching their skin.
Yes, I think they shared that money equally. And how do you put your parents through much that stress only to share it with a boyfriend? Share that money, share the proceeds.
And you don't think she was seeing a future with him beyond being a boyfriend?
And then for somebody to agree to do such a crime, to commit such atrocity with you, it just shows the nature of that person. That person is a thief, and you cannot trust a thief.
A hardened criminal.
Whether you connive together or he does it with you together this time to steal from your parents. To steal from your parents. The next time he could steal from you.
Right.
So it doesn't change the nature of him being a thief. He can be doing it together with you now, but the next time it will be against you, and you will not like the outcome. Similar with girls who date fraudsters, who date in quotes Yahoo guys. For example, you are enjoying the luxurious lifestyle now. You are enjoying, the things that you can enjoy now. He's buying you out, taking you out, buying you expensive things, buying you expensive cars, hairs, and all of that. You're living the lifestyle. Tomorrow, it might be against you because you do not fear. What are your considerations for it? Let's go back to asking people what are their considerations for choosing a life partner. It should be one that somebody you feel secure with. How do you choose somebody that steals from someone that causes people pain as a life partner? And you are aware to train your children under such person, to have that person be the father of your children. It just tells you how much we have lost it. People don't care. We go for seminars and young girls are asking that I'm a Christian or I'm a morally upright person, but I'm dating a Yahoo guy who really loves me. He's not into. We are finding a way to talk it.
And they can refer to scripture. Yes. Where it says love, covereth, all things.
No, not that kind of thing. And you know one thing, with young people, now this is to the people who are into fraudulent activities, because even now, ladies are into it. It all stems from when we talk about the very extreme crimes like killing another human being. It starts from the very little things.
Right.
Like defrauding somebody. When you get into deep into it, the proceeds from defrauding people at its initial stage, it might be consistent, and at some point when it's not as consistent as it used to be, people now begin to think outside the box.
Right.
They're looking for other means to ensure that it comes in consistently, or how can they expand. That's the thing with the devil. He does not just give you these things. He's bringing you so that he can hold your hands. And that's where they miss it. So you wonder why people do fraudulent activities. They continue doing fraudulent activities without having to involve rituals or do any of those things. But they get hooked to the lifestyle. You cannot imagine somebody who has been used to spending 1 million naira a week coming down to nothing. Or going a month without having anything.
Calling someone to say, I need urgent 5K.
Urgent 5K. It doesn't just make sense because they're now used to the lifestyle where they buy designers that they have not earned, and all of that. And then all of a sudden, it is not coming again. It's addictive, and they say money is intoxicating and all that. So you're finding a way. When you get to that point where it doesn't come, the normal means, the normal fraudulent way, just using your laptop and the internet, is not coming. You're looking for advanced ways where you are now going to one baba somewhere who is now telling you that, okay, you need to add a plus to it. And before you know it, you are deep into it. You have become something nobody can recognize. It starts from this little one that you are doing now. Something nobody can recognize, and now you are going into killing young girls, and people joke about it these days. I was in the comment section where they were talking about the Karo guy, and somebody is saying that another girl who ran mad in Lagos, and they were allegedly talking about how she has been involved with fraudsters, Yahoo boys and all of that, and she must have been used for rituals. And somebody said, no, we never delivered that polling unit. Nobody has run mad in Lagos. It's a new year, so they know the polling. So you imagine those kind of jokes. It's funny, but
it's serious.
What you laugh about is, is something you consider or something. I don't think we should laugh about things like this, issues like this, where people talk about, it's becoming a norm. When people talk about it on social media, Yahoo Plus and all of these things. No, we should not normalize it. And let our celebrities, we should not endorse people who are into these things. And people whose source of income we cannot question. We cannot tell. Let us not project them.
Right.
And our celebrities, everybody needs to do their bit. Parents, from the celebrities, from church leaders. If you find yourself in a space of influence where you are influential or a person of influence, this is the time to raise your voice. This is the time for you to campaign against this sort of lifestyle. It doesn't pay. At the end of the day, it could be anybody. Anybody could have been killed.
Right.
Anybody can be a victim of these people. Because what happens when people are now extra careful? They go into the streets. That's why we have kidnappers. You know, they kidnap people, random people traveling, they kidnap them, kill them, scatter their body parts and all of that. The quest for money. And so our government as well, we need to do the right thing. All hands needs to be on deck because this country is not a zoo. The cases we've had is becoming so enormous and traumatizing from children as well. Little children, our children are being groomed now. Small girls are dressing like adults. Small boys are being taught to go and learn fraudulent activities. They are enrolled in normal schools. These people should be investigated and locked up.
Right.
And measures should be taken.
I think this is not just a very disturbing trend, but the way Queen has put it this morning even makes it more vivid for us to give this very serious thought. You know, a while ago I was playing the devil's advocate by saying the other lady found love in a guy. Well, I was just playing the devil's advocate. The fact of the matter is, that wasn't love. It wasn't just a stupid move in itself, like Queen mentioned. It was just somebody already being brainwashed.
Absolutely.
I mean, maybe some dark psychology, which is the advanced form of manipulation as we know it, right? So it's quite a number of factors put together. But one of the highlights for me, hopefully for a number of our viewers around these issues, is that crimes and the propensity to be desperately pursuing material wealth, all right, have no regard for gender, whether you are a man or you are a woman. Some people may not necessarily need money by way of having their bank accounts surging or having wads of notes, of naira or dollar, whatever currency in the house. What they just want is the influence that comes with it. They want to have things that are beck and call. They want to be around people who have this influence, who have this power, who have this wealth and affluence and opulence, whatever it is, regardless of the source, the history to it, and things like that. Our politicians have not shown good example in this regard. I mean, we are sorry, but we are not sorry, because you see, society must have role models. And that's why I look at some ladies today, some women in society. I have some hope. They give us solace. They give us that light in the dark world. All right, that our girls can do better, because no matter how they complain or the excuses they put in front of us, it is clear that they have at least one lady somewhere, one woman somewhere who has shown that it can be done without cutting corners, without having to circumvent the rule as we know it. So it's interesting how that we are dealing with this situation. I remember one time, Queen, so there was this uncle of mine, distant uncle sort of, in Nigeria. It's only in Nigeria you can have somebody who lives 2 streets away. And is your uncle, yes. Your teacher is your uncle, your teacher is your auntie and things like that. But this was really an uncle in that sense, because biologically we're related. So I hadn't seen him. I had only heard about him. He was a professor who had just retired from Federal University months earlier. So we got talking on a Sunday evening, at another uncle's house. So I asked him, where do you live? Now guess how he described his street for me. He said, well, I've been able to build a house in Yahoo Boys headquarters. And then he goes ahead to tell me that as of when he purchased that land, it was not for Yahoo Boys. It was a community full of decent people who were busy about their legitimate business and things like that. But over time, because the area had been connected to this 33 kVA transformer or something, or whatever line, so there was constant power, where residents could boast of at least 23-hour uninterrupted power minimum. So it became a blessing for them, but it was another kind of blessing for these Yahoo Boys who moved away from the GRA part of that city to this area for 2 reasons. One, because of the constant power. Second, because they thought they could run away from the police a little and things like that. So imagine if somebody at that time who was 70 could tell me that he lived, I said lived now because he's passed, he just passed a few months ago, right? In an area he called Yahoo Boys headquarters, and the man was not one bit wrong. Because I remember going to work, because incidentally my office was not far from there. I would see the kind of cars coming out of there, see the kind of boys with spiky hair, with piercings, with tattoos. The typical emblem, so to say, of Yahoo boys. Sagging trousers or pants, as they call them now. What else? Tight-fitted shorts, jumping T-shirts, wearing stockings inside their slippers. Yes, wearing some thick jackets under hot sun, scorching sun, and things like that.
Leather jackets.
Yes, a friend of mine would say, a former colleague would say, look, you see these guys, they look haggard and unkept, but you'll be shocked how many hundreds or at least tens of millions they have in their bank account. Some of them were even undergraduates. You know, and you're wondering, I mean, as a young boy growing up, I know your parents would be bothered about how to give you gari, how to give you a few tubers of yam, some fingers, or at best maybe a head of plantain to take to school, a carton of or a pack of noodle and things like that, and give you small pocket money, and they tell you, don't spoil our name, or bring your A game to this thing, or put your eye in book. I mean, not literally, of course, right? But you're just saying, prioritize your studies. Your grades cannot sag. They've got to surge, if anything, and things like that. And you have children who are level-headed enough to listen, but today is the other way around. Time will fail us to go into all of these details.
But can we even talk about how a lot of consequences for these actions of these boys affecting Nigerians, bothering on Nigerians? Take, for instance, how the prices of certain services have gone up because of the patronage of these Yahoo boys. Now, this is not me saying that the economy is not bad enough, but if you discover in certain areas where these people are residents, people complain about how much, you know, the prices of certain goods and services.
Even rent.
Yes, even rent go up because these guys, they don't negotiate, they don't bargain. Of course, they don't work for this money. And you know, they know how they make this money, so they just spend lavishly. And people who earn legitimately, you know, are complaining, cannot, you know, to some extent understand why there's a hike even on the already, you know, hard economy. And so people are, it's affecting people, that alone. And how compromised are some policemen are, or police in general, because we discovered that these people have more like their stakeholders with some of these Yahoo guys, and you know how they are accomplices as well, and even some officers, you know, in the force. So we need to, the police even needs a lot of reform. I'm going to say this, our police need a lot of reform. We've seen videos of them harassing young boys who are not even Yahoo, going after the people who are not even supposed to be you know pursued. Meanwhile, the main culprits are left as long as you hand them what it is that, you know, they want. And so the system keeps the enablers to these people, that God would help us, parents, teachers, society, the police, particularly the police. There was a skit by Lai, I don't know if you've seen that skit. The lawyer, when he stopped a guy and then he was, you know, an IGGB. Apparently, both of them, client and you know, the Lai was a policeman, and then the guy in the car was, you know, but you should see that skit. It was an intelligence skit to tell you how, you know, to an extent, some policemen are involved in this cybercrime.
It's serious. You know, one time I was in a different city, not the SDT, and I realized that the particular police officer who was said to be OC something, and you know, for you to be OC, whatever it is in the police, you are high up, right? It was marking his birthday. He had his own foot soldiers, other younger officers who would go around telling Yahoo boys that, are you not aware Oga's birthday is next Sunday? What are you bringing for Oga? So this one will bring 2 bottles of whatever wine. Of course, they want to impress the Oga, right? Then another one, it tells another one, are you not aware Oga's birthday is this Sunday? What are you going to do by way of, let's honor him, he's once in a year. That will say, okay, well, send me Oga Aza, or your Aza, let me send to you so you can escalate to Oga and all of that. You put something there, you know. Clearly, it's not wrong to celebrate a policeman, no matter the rank. I mean, if anything, for people who put their lives on the line,
absolutely,
to keep the rest of us safe. I mean, what more can you do for them? You celebrate them at least once a year. I mean, if you have the opportunity to do that. By the way, it is the motivation behind it, the spirit behind it, the culture that is the problem, right? Because I know I'd seen a policeman one time around Christmas period of 2013. Who was just busy in a jammed area, market area, right, controlling traffic, like his life depended on it. And I was telling myself, is it possible to take a picture of this man and make him go viral for the right reasons? All right, you needed to see the dedication he put. He did it like it was a religion for him. Alone, he was not distracted. It was a busy area. People were all about themselves and all, but he was there just doing the work. I mean, he was in black. He was not even the regular ones we call traffic police. You know, so I'm saying that to say that we have fine policemen. We have policemen who know what they are doing. We have policemen who understand their job and they want to leave a legacy, no matter where that leaves them ultimately. But for those who have become the bad eggs, those who have become the black sheep in the force, I think the hierarchy of the Nigerian police should do something about them. There's a difference between trying to protect the image of the police, whether you are the image maker at the federal level or you are the spokesperson of the police at the state command level, from you trying to defend an errant policeman, because those are some of the issues that led to the NSAS a little more than 4 years ago in the first instance. But we're here to discuss all of those. Let's take a quick break, everyone. There's the issue of proposed hike in tariff. That's a big concern for Nigerians right now. Telecoms providers, service providers are saying, look, the hardship is not only biting on Queen Agaba and we are Mofrebe. We are here paying through our nostrils to keep our businesses running. We need to do one of two things. It's either we hike tariff by 100% and keep business going, everybody will be happy, hopefully everybody will be happy, or we have to now stagger our services in such a way that between, let's say, 6 a.m. and 4 p.m., we will have service in his area, whether it's in his house or at his workplace, we will not have within those hours. After that, we also flip it. We will have to endure and bear with us, we will have. So the options are in front of you, consumers. What do you want? That's on the side of the telecoms operators. The regulator, the NCC, of course, which is an agency of the Ministry of, the Federal Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy, under the leadership of Minister Dr. Bosun Tijani, is saying that we are not having that conversation yet. However, we'll continue to interact and interface with these service providers, the telecoms operators, to see where this will lead. We're taking a break, everyone. We will come back. We will unbundle it in front of you. Do stay with us. Is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
Global Morning aims to deliver newspaper review, latest news with experts on key global issues,
and at the same time keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Mondays to Sundays to a wide range of the latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
The president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
All right, thank you, everyone. Let's put the telecoms service providers and, of course, their regulator on the passport for a second, right? So a while ago, you were just asking me what's the meaning of 100%. Well, we are not here to start a math class. If Konagaba wants to take a math class, she knows where to go. What we do here is broadcast journalism. But I understand what she's saying. What she's saying is, in practical terms, what does it mean for the everyday Nigerian who uses telecom services, whether for calls or for data? Does it mean what I used to buy, I mean, maybe the top-up, or as we call it, recharge card, I used to buy for 100 naira would not be 200? Practically that's what it means, because the cry, or let's just say, well, the point that the service providers are making is that the cost of running our business has moved astronomically. We buy diesel, we buy fuel, we have to power generators, we have service towers, or what you call masts, all over the place. We have to pay this fee, we have to pay that fee. We have ancillary services that we enjoy to be able to help you enjoy our own services. And those service providers have also shut up their charges. How do we keep our businesses afloat to also keep you as a consumer going? They are telling the NCC, please, would you be kind enough to allow us, permit us to increase?
Well, it only makes sense that, since the cost of running that service has gone up, that the users, consumers, customers are informed, and that okay, cost definitely, that's what happens for every business. Once the cost of running that business comes up, the prices of that product that is produced increases, and so whether by a 10% increase, 20% increase, or thereabout, but a 100% increase, that is double. It means that if I was buying 1 gig for 1,000 naira, I'll be buying 1 gig for 2,000 naira now. Or it could be that it has started already and we don't know, because my data doesn't last anymore. I'm buying 1 gig I'm buying 5 gigs thereabout that lasts me for a certain period of time, and in the blink of an eye, it is gone. It could be that 5 gig is now 2 gig or 2.5 gig, and you do not know, because sometimes this is what happens. It's either the quality of the product reduces, when cases where people cannot outrightly increase the price of the product, the quality or quantity reduces somewhat, and it could be that that's what has been happening. I don't know about you, if you use data or you use maybe, but does your data last, these services? And then the network as well, I don't know, maybe because of the increase in in running these things, and then I don't know how Nigerians are going to react to this. So by the time there's a 100% increase, and I was just asking, it's not like I'm not aware of what a 100% increase is, but it's a shock now, because we're talking about increases. We've seen that happen over and over again. Prices have tripled, over a 500% increase in the market. You're going to the market, and something you buy for 40,000 naira has become times 4, and you're paying hundreds of thousands for that product. And so it's not new to Nigerians, and I don't see a reason why the NCC would not permit that increase, or else bordering on considerations for Nigerians, or we look forward to the prices of diesel coming down, and other services, essential products and services coming down to enable service providers give their utmost. So 100% increase, that's alarming, but it's not new to us.
All right. Queen is asking me, does your data last?
Exactly.
My response is, well, last. That's some sort of play of words, but quite frankly, what can I say? I'm able to access the internet. I'm grateful. Thank you.
Even if you have to do that every 30 minutes.
I just said thank you. I'm thanking my service provider. I can't complain on live television. But you see, this situation seems a bit even more protracted than that, because we're also told now that the service providers themselves, the telecoms people, the operators, they are owed something in the neighborhood of 4.6 trillion. All right, by whom? By banks and other ICT firms, the fintechs and the rest. And the NCC is now saying that if you do not pay, there is, there will be consequences. And conversely, the telecoms operators are also owing banks. NCC is saying if you do not pay, we'll name and shame you. So pay what you owe, and what is owed you will be paid to you. Can we just pay ourselves?
Can we pay ourselves?
Exactly, and move forward.
Because like you said, the ground suffers.
Yes.
And 2 elephants.
No, we have many elephants now.
Maybe that's the reason why I can't do certain transfers from my bank. I don't want to call the name of my bank, but we are paying for it. The debts that the NCC and the telecoms, the banks.
So who are listen to who?
Exactly.
Because you get charged on the spot. It's not as if you pay later. It's not post service. Exactly. So the thing is, if I'm using the service, I know there's one for 6 naira, 69 kobo or something. Yeah. There's one where every time you do a transaction, there's a certain amount.
40 something like
exactly. So
after the 40,
and you're charged on the spot. So who gets that money? I'm sure it's the bank. So why isn't the bank remitting? All right. If it's the telcos, why aren't they also remitting? So the regulator has to wait the big stick at this point, I'm sure. But well, what can we say? Let's take our last break on the program. When we'll come back, we'll be wrapping it up. Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
Global Morning aims to deliver newspaper review, latest news with experts on key global issues.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Mondays to Sundays to a wide range of the latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
The president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Up now, but we're looking at security issues. There's this headline on the Daily Trust newspaper. Today's issue says how Boko Haram's new strategy produced 60k child fighters. So Boko Haram, an obvious terrorist, yeah, exactly, deadly terror cell, is said to have produced, no thanks to its new strategy, 60,000 child soldiers, and this is coming from no less a person than the Chief of Defense Staff, right? So two things will bug you. The first is that they are not just child soldiers, they are 60,000. Just a while ago, you and I were, in a manner of speaking, crying on the on the show about the children who died in the Ibadan stampede and all of that, and we are told they were 35, by whatever records we have in public right now. But now we're talking about 60,000 children, I should say, who are soldiers, all right? We're talking about children who are homeless, we're talking about children on the streets, we're talking about children who can't access education for apparent reasons, but now you're talking about children who have joined an army of some kind, courtesy of Boko Haram, 60,000 of them. So maybe you're bothered about your neighborhood, you're bothered about people in those neighborhoods, you have these children, the places they have infiltrated, and how much of a risk they've become to both themselves and society.
We should be bothered. We have 60,000 children, 60,000 child soldiers. These are soldiers we're talking about. These children, if they were to be in the venue of that stampede, will not have been, they would have been gallant. They're not heroic because they've been trained to, withstand certain pressures and all of that. And these children are going to be sent out to cause and perpetrate evil and havoc around. And children who are supposed to be in school, like every normal child who is under the care of their parents, they're in school, their formative years, they're being taught, values are put in them, inculcated. The opposite is for these children. The values that have been inculcated in them is to cause harm. And so they're a danger to society. 60,000 of them. I wonder how they've been able to. And now, while I'm worried about the children and the number of children, 60,000 of them, I'm worried about
how they've been able to camp these children, groom them, because for you to have 60,000 people, I want to understand, were they in batches? You need resources. You need facilities to an extent, maybe like a camp, a tent or something where these children are groomed. And for people to have been groomed to become soldiers, it takes a certain period of time and training. So within that period of time, how were they able to successfully, execute this plan without the intervention of the police or the military, the army, or any, security agency? And then the resources. I know that they are a deadly terrorist group, and with all that they've been perpetrating and all of that, how much? It takes some level of resources. And we're not talking about small money here to be able to camp these children. And exclusivity that they have without interference of police. How is that possible?
Recruitment process.
Recruitment processes. It shows that the system is porous. There's an insider or somewhat. There's an enabler who is a bigger part of the society that is, enabling these people and giving them leverage to, perpetrate all of this evil. Well, because of time, we may not be able to delve deep into this topic, but it's a cause of concern. We all need to be alert. Our neighborhoods, in our states, they are not only going to be in the north, they're going to be spread across states. They're going to be everywhere. Going to churches, like we see the killing in Ondo State and all of that. So we need to be at alert to ensure that the deal has been done already, but we need to be at alert to ensure that these people are apprehended and, society is safe for people and children as well, so that they're not inculcated into, this sort of cult.
They say in every, as I say, there's no smoke without fire, right? First off, to think that this is coming from an authority in the person of the Chief of Defense Staff means that not something that should be treated with kid gloves. That's number one. But the second is in a country where, by some estimates, we have no less than 11 million adult school children, boys and girls. And then now you're talking about some 60,000 child soldiers. It just means you're further complicating the already bad situation. Like somebody would say, you're making the bad situation worse. All right. So question is, how do we reverse this anomaly? Several, analysts and those who are very knowledgeable about these issues can make their recommendations. But natural wisdom would say, why don't we try, first of all, by dealing with socio-economic problems? Because development economists will say that once a country is able to, at least to a large extent, conquer hunger, they are already on the path of development and growth. So have we been able to do that? Is there food sufficiency, all right, in the country? Is there food security? That's first. Second is, how about access to even basic things like sanitary facility, like healthcare? Those issues have to be dealt with. Of course, Professor Mohammed Pate, the Honorable Minister of Health and Social Development, has told us time and again that the federal government is working tooth and nail to better the healthcare system. We have no doubt about that. Similarly, we have no doubt about the capability and the competence of the Nigerian armed forces, I will say that without tongue in cheek, to deal with these elements. Because let's be clear, it must have taken resources and some sophistication, on top of that expertise, for the Nigerian military to have been able to unravel this information, to know that you have no less than 60,000 not full soldiers, child soldiers, who have been trained by the Boko Haram to perpetrate this evil, this agenda that they continue to push. But in the days and the weeks and months and years ahead, it means that we are not out of the woods just yet with regards to these issues around insurgency, banditry, kidnapping, and all other forms of criminality in this country. Incidentally, that's what we're leaving it on the program today. Just a quick reminder that all of the views of our guests on all of our programs, including Global Morning, are their opinions.
Absolutely. Do make sure to join us same time tomorrow, where we will be taking you through the front pages of the national dailies and important discussion of national interest. From myself, Queen Agaba, and my colleague, Uyi Agbomofwegbe, we say have a beautiful day ahead.
Death toll from flooding.
Most time our politicians just bring in policies too, for sure.
Incidentally, we have several more stories. The legislature was carefully crafted to
22.2% inflation rates as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
Before you call the police station, before they even leave, they take permission from
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve the struggle with ASU strike.
Education volunteered and said, give me 2 weeks.
It was a life. The president never gave me